Well, hello, scientists. This is Mr. Morrow here, coming to you from Pod 2, but this is for my Pod 1 and Pod 2 students. Mrs. Burt and I would like to share with you a video on how to complete the task we're going to be working on today, Tuesday, February 1st. Can you believe that? It's already February 1st. So, here we are. We're going to be in week 22. That's the 31st of January to February 4th. And we're just going to click on this week here. And today and Monday, we worked on completing the research, and then we also had a migration scavenger hunt that we completed. But we're going to be working on Tuesday, and Tuesday you're going to find two things in there. And what I'd like for you to do is click on World Map. So you're going to click on that World Map, boom, and that's going to bring up this for you. Okay, just like that. And what I'd like for you to do is to pay attention to this tiny little download button over here. So you're going to download that, boop, and it's just going to shoot itself to your computer. Now, my Mac is a little different than your Chromebooks, but I believe that when you download something like that, it goes right to your Google Drive, which is exactly where we want it. So, what I'd like for you to do is go to your Google Drive then, and I think you're going to find that it's going to be there. If you can't find it, you can always click on your recent items, and that will be there. Mrs. Burt and I will be around to give you a hand if you can't find it, but it should be there. So what I want you to do then is just click on the map there. And here we are. We've got a beautiful blank map of the world, but we're not done. What we're going to do is at the top here, we are going to open with, and we're going to annotate this with Cami. Boom. And that should bring you to this. Let's see, what is happening here? Boop. Okay, we're going to pause this for a second here. Okay, we're back after a tiny technical difficulty here. And so what I've seen here is that when we click on Open With, Annotate with Cami, then the map will show up in that. We just need to be patient for a second, which is not what I was doing earlier. I was being very impatient. So we're going to say no thanks to recognize text. And now we have this map that we have the ability to kind of mess around with. We're going to do a couple things. And ultimately what we're going to do is create an illustration for what our animal's migration pattern is. So I'm going to provide you with an example of what a migration pattern may look like. It is not a migration pattern of an animal. It's actually a migration pattern of Mr. Morrow, right? So as an example. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to, you can either do drawing or shapes. And I think for this particular case, I'm going to use the insert line here. All right, so you can, it's up to you which color you want to use. Let's say I want to choose pink there. It looks lovely. And if we were to do that, we'd start up here, which is right around where Lower Macungie or Emmaus is. And let's say that my migration each winter, I said, this is too cold, I am leaving Emmaus, I'm leaving Lower Macungie, and I'm traveling over to Australia. And so I would take this, boop, and draw a line segment, boop, slowly, slowly, slowly. And let's say that I only wanted to use the ocean, right? Let's say I took a boat there. And I say that because that is the path that I'm taking to get to Australia. Now, I've never been to Australia, but I guess this is one way to go. And so this is one way to do that. We're looking for cleanliness, and we're looking for you to kind of make it look as neat as possible. So here we are. There's the line there. Now the next thing you can do, there are a couple things we want you to do. We want you to draw the picture of the migration, right? The place the animal started, and then the animal ended. All right, and maybe I go down to this area here. Boop, right, okay. And we definitely want to label that, right? So we want to drop a text box in there, and we want to make that as nice and neat as possible. So let's say that I kind of move this around and I type in Emmaus. All right, that doesn't look nice and neat, but I'll be able to change it around into something much nicer. So we can click on that, maybe change the font down to 14. Let's see, and then I can move that around. Boop. And there's Emmaus. Swink, just like that. Okay, if you wanted to, you could even drop a shape in there, like a circle, a pink circle. Boop, just like that. And we can make that smaller or bigger. And let's say I wanted to end here. There's my circle there. And let's say I also wanted to label where I was headed. So I'm headed to Australia. Australia. There we go. Boop. Okay, well done. Now, the final thing we want you to do is to create a text box and label this and give this thing a title, right? So at the very top here, and this gets a little bit clunky, but you'll be able to fix it. You can say Mr. Morrow's Migration. Although you won't put Mr. Morrow's Migration. You'll put whatever animal you add. So there's a 24 font. Maybe we want it a little bit bigger, 36. And let's say we wanted to change the font to Merriweather. We're going to highlight that just like we would on a Google Doc. Let's change that to 30. Boop, there we go. And let's say we don't want open dyslexic. Let's say we want Merriweather. Totally up to you as long as it's readable. And there we go. Boop, Mr. Morrow's Migration. And so there's our label for where we're headed, where we're going, the path we took, and the title. And then when you're done, we'd like for you to save that, right? And save that into My Drive. Because in a moment, we're going to be taking it and putting it into your website. Okay? So that is how to create your migratory map. Now you'll need to study, you'll need to do a little research about where your animal begins and where it travels to. But that was most likely done the other day when we did a little bit of research on our animal. So, Mrs. Burt and I will be available for questions, but there are the basics of how to do that. All right, see you soon.